The discovery of significant gold reserves in the impoverished Transvaal in the 1880s led to rising British imperial ambitions and Republican resistance in this regard, ultimately resulting in the outbreak of the South African War on the 11th of October 1899. As was the case in many countries all over the world at the time, widespread sympathy for the Boer republics and a surge of pro-Boer sentiment also prompted many citizens in the Netherlands to condemn Britain's actions during the war. Shortly after the hostilities commenced, a Hollander Corps was established in Pretoria to support the Boer War effort. This corps eventually grew to about 450 men. These volunteers participated in most of the significant battles of the war. Records indicate that 78 Dutch nationals made the ultimate sacrifice in the pursuit of Republican freedom during the war. Despite their noteworthy involvement in the Boer War effort on the battlefields, the most significant contribution of Dutch volunteers relates to humanitarian aid in the form of ambulance services and the establishment of hospitals. The first foreign ambulance service to reach Pretoria in December 1899 was a Dutch Red Cross ambulance unit. This was later followed by two more Dutch ambulance units, a Dutch East Indies ambulance unit and a Russian Dutch unit. In the process, these medical volunteers have proven themselves as courageous and selfless humanitarians who offered their service not only in nursing the Boers, but also the British and the local civilian population. In September 1900, Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands sent an armoured ship, the Gelderland, to Lorenzo Marx to collect President Paul Kruger. The Transvaal leadership believed that the elderly Kruger might be able to facilitate European mediation to end the hostilities. After arriving in Marseille in France, Kruger travelled to the Netherlands to meet with Queen Wilhelmina. He eventually settled as an exile in Utrecht. During and after the war, the Dutch Assistance Fund in the Netherlands provided financial support to war victims, including prisoners of war and displaced civilians. Additionally, the Middelburg Ladies Committee in the Netherlands collected money and sent clothing, food, spiritual literature and toys for children in the concentration camps. When the war concluded, the remaining balance in the assistance fund was allocated to support various needy charity organizations and the establishment of schools in the two former republics. Notwithstanding much appreciated Dutch support during the South African War, the relationship between Afrikaners and the Netherlands became strained during the apartheid era, as the Netherlands emerged as a leading critic of the National Party's apartheid policies during the 1950s. The willingness of the majority of moderate Afrikaners to eventually support the abolishment of apartheid provided an opportunity to lessen the tensions and rift between the Afrikaners and the Dutch. This situation also created the potential for re-acknowledging and appreciating the deep-rooted historical, cultural and linguistic connection between the two groups within the context of a democratic South Africa for all. Today, both nations maintain cordial relations with numerous bilateral agreements in political, economic, cultural and social cooperation having been signed. Against this background, the War Museum in Bloemfontein, South Africa, embarked on a project to commemorate Dutch involvement in the South African War.
In 2024, the War Museum approached the Dutch government via its embassy in Pretoria to create an exhibition of Dutch involvement in the South African War of 1899 to 1902. The project included, amongst others, a painting of Queen Wilhelmina, the building of a scale model of the Dutch cruiser Gelderland, the creation of a video on Dutch involvement in the war, as well as an exhibition on Dutch involvement. The importance of this project is based on the fact that South Africans tend to forget about the important role that the Dutch played during this war, especially in the military, the medical, as well as on the humanitarian side, and aid which they contributed to assist South Africans in a very difficult time.
The War Museum researched, planned and implemented the project with the financial support of the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ewijck Foundation. A comprehensive exhibition on Dutch involvement in the South African War was officially opened at the museum on Wednesday, the 3rd of June 2026. Ms. Joanne Doornevaart, Ambassador of the Kingdom of the Netherlands to South Africa, accompanied by Ms. Jessica Glendinning, Policy Officer, Cultural and Media at the Dutch Embassy, attended the event as guests of honour. After Danae Swanepoel of the War Museum welcomed the invited guests and members of the public, Dr. Johan van Zyl, Museum Human Scientist Manager, explained the background to the project and the historical links between the Netherlands and the Boer republics during the conflict. Thereafter, Ambassador Doornevaart reflected on the war as part of the long and often complex relationship between the Netherlands and South Africa. She also observed that the event serves as a timely reminder that the people of both countries must continue to work together to alleviate the suffering of those caught in conflict around the world. This was followed by the screening of an insightful video documentary commemorating Dutch involvement in the South African War, which was produced by the War Museum. The proceedings included the presentation of prestigious museum publications to the guests of honour by the director of the War Museum, Tokkie Pretorius. A presentation was likewise made to Mr. Jan Linder, who was commissioned by the museum to build an authentic model of the Gelderland for exhibition purposes. After Dr. Vicky Hiernes, collections manager of the museum, extended a word of thanks, the attendees proceeded to the gallery, where the exhibition is on display. The ribbon-cutting ceremony was conducted by Ambassador Doornevaart. Thereafter, attendees could encounter and explore Dutch involvement in the South African War firsthand. This exhibition forms part of the War Museum's ongoing efforts to preserve and share important aspects of South African history. It offers visitors an opportunity to gain deeper insight into an international dimension of the conflict that helped to shape the course of the war and present-day South Africa.
It's a big pleasure to be here today in Bloemfontein at the War Museum, especially to open this special exhibition on the role of the Dutch during the Boer War. There are many lessons to be learned and to hear about that history, to see the role of the Dutch during that time. And of course we go back a long time together, and it's always a big pleasure to travel to Bloemfontein. And every time I recognize something new that I didn't know. And the publications are always very interesting. So, big pleasure to be here in Bloemfontein. Thank you.